everyone. My name is Michelle Grandes, and we will be talking today about action research. So, of course, we can't explore action research without understanding what it means. And to use my own words, action research includes participants to undergo examinations of a particular program through a variety of research techniques, which means conducting interviews, maybe phone calls, or even surveys. And then after that, the researcher would analyze the data. This definition reminds me of an example that we did in our last term where we had to conduct a similar format where we developed an overarching problem or question, and we had to conduct research with our classmates. It would be first a very in-depth phone call, and then it went on to being just a very yes or no or true, not true and false, like multiple choice type of question. So I feel like I understand action research, and thankfully, because of our previous class, I was able to understand it a bit more. Um, and next, I will be explaining how advocacy links to action research. And after reading an article by Greenwood and his colleagues, there was one quote that stood out to me that made me realize that these two correlate. So whenever scientists would read about an action research article or paper, it brought them a sense of nostalgia as they were reminded of their childhood heroes like Gandhi, who they admired very much, right? And they felt comfortable with accepting um, action research. So I feel like why advocacy links to action research is because you're not just solely looking at, the chemical research of this and bonds. We're kind of connecting it back to why we want to make a difference in whatever area we're looking at, whether it be poverty, improving the educational system with kids, like what is an effective strategy, right? So we're kind of going back to a world where Gandhi didn't need any of these scientific numbers and facts. He believed in what he believed in and he stood for it, right? So I think that's how advocacy and action research links together. So with that in mind, I would next like to explore the 6-cycle process to create an effective action resource. So let me just go scroll down a little bit. So I'm going to explore each of the 6 cycles. And again, to me, this is very familiar as we did this in our research course last year. So I understand the intricacy of everything and why it has to be so in-depth in order for our action research to be effective. So through these 6 steps, the researcher is able to create an effective strategy. And as we move through the cycle, the first one we have to go through is identifying a problem. And in this stage, you're trying to roll out any vague questions. You're trying to hone in on a question or a problem that maybe hasn't been explored or can provide new insight to your area of topic, right? And it has to be meaningful to your investigation. It can't just be anything that comes to your head. It has to be a well thought problem in order for you to explore with, of course, the right tools, right? And we must keep in mind that there are helpful tips to avoid an unreasonable question or unreasonable problems to your action researchers, to your action research, sorry. And some of the examples that were provided were don't use questions that participants can just say yes or no to. Use common language. Do not use slang or any type of short abbreviation that maybe the participant may not understand. Obviously, be concise. Make the question or problem meaningful. And whatever question or problem you develop, it shouldn't already have an answer to. It has to be something new that you can explore and give new insight to that area. So the second phase is choosing which method to gather your data, and it's called gather data. Some methods include interviews, audio tape, phone calls, again, we did this last term. We were assigned like 3 classmates. We first conducted a phone call meeting. Then we moved on to a question and answer. And with that in mind, we move on to the interpret data phase. So after I had all their transcriptions, I had to analyze it. I needed to locate any common themes from the participants and see where everything linked and if it made sense with my research question. The next phase is called the act on evidence, and during this phase, the researcher looks at literature reviews to see how they can contribute new findings to the research question. This is what we did in our human development class, where human development? No, in this class, where we had to, what's it called? Pick a theme for our project and look at the literature review to see if anything has been done, if maybe there's an area we can improve in, or just to see the new type of evidence that this literature has. Maybe we can add more. Maybe this is not a topic worth exploring, right? And that's what we do on this phase. So we act on our evidence to see if something matches with other literature, or maybe it can give us helpful insight to see what we can improve on. And then the second last step is to look at the evidence and provided from our participants' feedback, and to see if anything has changed compared to the literature review. So now you take the literature findings with your participants' findings, see if there's a link to them, or maybe you find that nothing has changed with the comparison. Maybe your participants' comparisons are different from what the literature review was talking about. So that's where you look at that area. And then the final step is called next steps. And this is exactly what it sounds like. During this phase, you will think about what you could have done differently, or maybe new questions arise from what's it called, your action researchers. Maybe there's something else you want to further explore, right? Yeah, so then you can do whatever you've done differently, and if you wanted to see something new that has come up. Now that we have this 6-step phase understood, I want to talk now about why researchers choose to do action research. And according to Francis, the reason why teachers specifically choose to do action research is because it's the most effective way to seek and learn new information about what your colleagues may be feeling about this area, the teaching area, or maybe what your students feel. Maybe there's a sense of disconnection with how you teach to how the students are intaking that information. So if we provide this type of feedback or process to our students, we can improve our teaching strategies to help our future students. How was that? Right? So we're always seeking to learn new information on ways we can improve ourselves and just in the educational field in general. So my next question, or the next area I want to explore, is how does ethical conduct lead to action research? And I feel like this question also ties in with what considerations to conflict resolution, conformity, and or notions of power link to action resources. So we can understand that with any research that conducts with participants, we have to make sure that it's done in a professional manner, that things are done confidential. Farouk provides us with some examples to look for when we are conducting action research. And some of the examples that they gave us is look for blind spots, maybe use a third party, and identify problems that have been removed. So if you see there's an issue, maybe we got to remove that and see how we can fix it. And I'm going to hone in a little bit on blind spots because I feel like that ties well in with the what consideration to conflict resolution, conformity, and or notions of power linked to action research design. I feel like that's a big one, because Kwan states that when we're working with different groups to start our action research project, there may be some defensive posture, or there just might be some tension between the groups when collaborating with others. And the reason why is maybe we're trying to solve a problem. I think the example they gave us in the reading was we need to decrease security risk, but we have a security department specifically for that reason. So maybe the security team might be on the fence like, oh, this group is trying to get rid of my position or our field of area because we might not be as effective, right? So with that in mind, we need to look at certain things that can help be avoided. So when this starts to happen, we need to look at maybe, for example, the security group starting to take that defensive posture or feel like they're being attacked by others. They have a defensive tone, right? They're not really contributing to the conversation. And if we have those signs to appear, that's when we need to implement this method that Kwan states. It's called group identity, group legitimacy, and control. So for group identity, we just need to reassure that each group here has their own sets of like they can contribute equally, right? We're not trying to downplay or get rid of anyone, right? Everything we're doing here is just to support our action research design. And once this is formed, then I think the next step would be the group legitimacy, where now we're all starting to accept that, okay, this group is not here to take over my position or get rid of my position. We're just trying to help one another to make the action research project stronger. And once that is in control, the final step is control, and where that leader needs to reassure that we don't have any of those collaboration blind spots just try to sneak up on us, right? We need to make sure that everyone understands the purpose of this meeting, the purpose of this action research project, and that if conflicts do come up again, then maybe we need to reassure the team that what we're doing in here is for a good purpose and no one is trying to butt in or get rid of anyone else. And I think that is it for me. Here are my resources, and I really hope you enjoyed my topic. Thank you so much for listening.